Hey Fandom, it's me Aaron, and this is a comic spotlight on a creator, Jason Aaron. This guy I've been a fan of his since the very beginning, and not just because his last name's Aaron and my name's Aaron, although that was part of it. You know, I saw he was doing a book called The Other Side for Vertigo, and Other Side, it was pretty awesome. It was, he actually wrote the script for the first issue, sent it to the Vertigo editor and said, yo, do you want to print this? And they were like, wow, sure, yeah, because usually they would get like a little one-page type of pitch, and he had it written, and it was both sides of Vietnam. One side of the protagonist is a young kid from here, and another side is a young kid from Vietnam, and how they both were fighting for their family and their country, and they're both kind of pushed into these roles that they really didn't want, and it was pretty epic. He got his start working at a porn store, and that's how I think he really has all the nastiness in his book, is just working in a porn store, overnights and all that. It's probably pretty disgusting for him, and I see that come through in his work all the time. His biggest thing that he started with was Scalped. That was his 10-volume epic Vertigo book. I'm giving away Scalped #1s for free in my store, and I always will, because I just love this book. It's mixed in with real life stuff of, when the American Indian movement took on the FBI, and it was Leonard Peltier and all that, but told through a fictitious lens with Dash, a Native American character, young guy that his mother was involved with those American Indian movement people, and he left the res and came back, and this is not a spoiler, this is the first issue, and this is the first time I've ever seen this happen in any form of media, not just comic books, in any medium, is a undercover FBI agent posing as a corrupt cop. So he goes and gets a job as a cop on the res and poses as a corrupt cop, taking bribes, extorting, doing all these things so that he wouldn't be in any way questioned that he could have these altruistic motives of being an undercover FBI agent set to take down the actual chief of the reservation, who was the one actually responsible for the murder of the FBI agents, not the guy rotting in Leavenworth prison. That book is amazing. It's so good. I know a lot of people don't really dig Indians other than as it's related to sports, football or baseball, but this is actually really, really good. And I just love it. His Punisher, he came on to Punisher Max. This was, the adult Punisher that Garth Ennis created, and Garth Ennis told this epic run on it. And Jason Aaron came along, and everyone's like, well, what's Jason Aaron got to say that Ennis didn't already say? Ennis is the man. He's the master at hyper-violent adult stuff with a little bit of humor, which is Jason Aaron as well. But here's what Jason Aaron has. He's the Alabama corn snake. He has that American stuff where he's going to get in there, and he's going to have a very American redneck feel to it, a very edge that Ennis doesn't really have. He has his kind of UK edge, and I love it, but Jason Aaron has his own style, and it really showed through. And in this, another thing he did was he took some of the Marvel villains of Punisher and made them Vertigo-esque, made them Max, made them adult, starting with Kingpin, going on to Bullseye. And no, Bullseye, he can't throw a toothpick and kill you, but he is an expert marksman and whatnot, and also Elektra. And in this book, he did a 4-volume run, which effectively ended everything. And, the thing in the park? Okay, so Punisher, here's this story, and here's what it didn't make sense once Jason Aaron explained it to me. Okay, so Punisher survives Vietnam. You have all this brush, and you have all these, whatever, I'm not going to say my racial slurs, let's just call them Charlies and not Goot Goblins. But they come out of the brush and attack and just shoot and kill, and Punisher survives that. He survives all of that, okay? But he actually didn't break when his family was killed. He was already broken from Vietnam, pretending to be okay. And when his family was killed, he just let the whole facade drop that he was okay. Plenty of people's families die and they don't become Punisher. Punisher was broken in Vietnam and just pretended not to be with his family. And here's the absolute proof. Okay, so he survived this bush with all these people in the brush and snipers and whatever, but somehow he's in a park with just clear-cut grass everywhere, and these mafia people just come up and kill his family, and he didn't hear him coming, he didn't see him coming. He's this expert at survival in the brush, and then in a clear-cut park. Come on. And Jason Aaron really freaking nailed that. And his Wolverine run was also quite awesome. It's my favorite characterization of Logan. You have the rough edge, the what he presents to the world as just this badass, the best he is at what he does, but what he does isn't pretty. But actually, he has this heart for children and women, and it just, everything he does is motivated towards helping women and children, which is really quite odd, and that goes into what he's doing now. But if you have a chance and you want to sample one of his older Wolverine things, do Astonishing, Spider-Man Wolverine. The relationship between Peter and Logan is just insane. The jumping around through time. You got Public Enemies in it. You got Flava Flav and Chuck D. I mean, he renames them like he always does, but it's obviously Public Enemy. And just that relationship between Peter and Logan is just so amazing in it. Check out that book. So what's Jason Aaron's big contribution to Marvel now? Not just Marvel now, but Marvel now. He is freaking amazing, and DC lost him. I mean, DC should have got him, signed him up. He did one book for DC. It was a spotlight on the Penguin, and that characterization of the Penguin is what is the current characterization of Penguin in the New 52 and everything. But if you get a chance, it was Joker's a silent penguin. Check that out. But X-Men Schism. This is Wolverine versus Cyclops. This is where they had their big thing where they had their huge falling out over political reasons, over a difference of ideology. Scott wanted to be completely separate, and Wolverine wanted integration. And basically, Cyclops wanted Magneto's philosophy, and Wolverine still wanted Xavier's philosophy. And that led to Wolverine starting his own school, which is weird because, he had the whole thing with women and children, and he said these children are not military kids drafted into a war. They are actual kids that need an education, and I'm going to redo the school and give them an education, which he did in the Wolverine and the X-Men, where they actually have a school that they rebuilt, and he named it Jean Grey after her, just, maybe to piss off Cyclops some more, but maybe because he really loves Jean Grey. And he put Kitty as the headmistress, which, again, he's always had that thing for women and young girls, starting with Kitty and then Jubilee and Rogue in the movies and Armor in Astonishing X-Men with Joss Whedon. So Wolverine has this part of his heart that he wants to give these children the childhood he never had and protect women like he couldn't protect his mom. I don't know. Read Wolverine Origins. I'm not making this stuff up. But that story of Schism did more to launch A vs. X than anything else Marvel was doing. I mean, they didn't hint at the Phoenix coming back or Avengers wanting to fight mutants or anything like that. It was Schism. And Jason Aaron was one of the co-writers of this book, this big epic thing. And he's the man. Here's how it relates to my store specifically. He's signed here a couple times. Issue 8 of Wolverine and the X-Men was actually dedicated to Triforce Mike, my friend and co-worker and video mate forever. He died. He got hit by a car on his bike. And Jason Aaron loved the guy when he came here and visited. He wrote a blog about him and dedicated this issue to him, which was pretty awesome. You remember the guy. He's a sexy man. But Jason Aaron is coming again here. And this time it's for Thor, God of Thunder. He's going to party like his Ragnarok here at a comic shop. And his God of Thunder was perfect. There's always been all these Asgardians. And it's like, you have to have like some kind of like Wikipedia or degree in mythology, know all this Norse mythology and all these different things. And they have the Warriors 3 and, the big fat one. And I don't know. He did it where it's the Thoriers 3, which is actually quite awesome because as we interpret gods as, Americans, this is American edge of this. We perceive it as the Trinity, You got the Father, Son, Holy Ghost, and you got Thor, and Thor. Young Thor, our Thor, old Thor. And they're all fighting the same villain that is killing gods. And the cool thing about that is, God is, he omnipresent. There's these terms, he transcends times. He doesn't exist in the same space-time continuum as us. And a God killer that's killing gods probably wouldn't exist in the same space-time continuum limitations as us. So instead of getting all these crazy supporting characters of all these crazy Norse gods, like, Fear itself, where you had to, like, seriously look up stuff on Wikipedia consistently, it's just Thor, and Thor, and it's awesome. You get just his whole lifespan, and I freaking love it. And the volume collection is coming out the Wednesday before he comes and signs at my store, June 1st. So whatever Wednesday is before June 1st. Let's see. I don't know. And this came out this week, Thanos Rising, freaking perfect. This is how, Jason Aaron just nails it doing these anti-heroes and these actual villains where he really gets into their psyche, shows you what makes them tick, and this goes back to tell the origin of Thanos, that his mother tried to kill him when she first held him after she birthed him. That's not a spoiler, that's at the very beginning. His father was very cold, analytical, never hugged him. He was an artist where his art was never encouraged, kind of like Hitler. And then he went on to genocide and kill his whole planet. So basically, he just needed some hugs. And, you know, I love Jason Aaron because he has these kind of different takes on stuff. Like, we always have this idea of going back in time and killing Hitler. This is a very European idea. It's in a lot of the, you know, different writers from, you know, the European writers, the British writers and whatnot of time travel and going back in time and killing Hitler. That's cool, but that kind of skirts the whole nature versus nurture debate. What if you went back in time and just hugged him and encouraged his artwork and, you know, took care of him and, you know, made him befriend Jews and, you know, he could grow up to be just this great, charismatic, awesome dude. And I'm not saying that is possible, but I'm just saying that, and obviously it's not possible with Thanos, but actually getting in there and digging in there and getting that story, that's an awesome story that I enjoy reading about Thanos. I don't want to read a Thanos that he was always evil from the day he was born. He killed his mother as he came out of her womb and then slew his father with one of his mother's ribs. No, he wanted to have his mother's love. He wanted to talk to his father about how his father and mother met and fell in love, and his father didn't have time for him. That's the story I want. That's what you get from Jason Aaron. He pulls no punches, but he also doesn't spare your heart either. As he's telling these terribly edgy, gruesome, brutal stories and just berating your senses with that, he sneaks in there and punches you right in your heart, right in the field of the feels. And like he just has that boom, and you're like, oh, yeah, crap. And it's good. And I love the man. And when he comes, I'm going to braid his beard, and we're going to take out our Alan Moore voodoo doll and start putting pins in it. It's going to be awesome. So if you're in town or can be in town, June 1st, Jason Aaron, he can come here, scalp you, shave your head, whatever. It's going to be awesome. Thanks. Bye-bye.